welcome to Rumbo Minero. Cesar, how's it going?
What a pleasure, Jorge.
My name is Jorge Leon, and along with Cesar Campos, we are working on developing the next Rumbo Minero program. This project is extensive and complex, mirroring the vast world of mining. We are halfway through a topic involving the rainforest and the MAPI law. What will be discussed at the Congress regarding the MAPI law? It seems to me that they might be considering an extension of Reinfo, which this really demonstrates that our authorities are not doing anything to combat illegal mining. Something that can really be felt in public order, huh?
A prediction is fulfilled, Jorge, one that we have made many times here, that sometimes there is no will, in order to ascertain the conclusion of the Reinfo. Furthermore, this tragic news about 5 additional fatalities compounds the situation. In Patas, besides the 30 that had been found, there is an incredible number of people who have been, they are deceased, having been victims of murder due to the illegal mining practices connected to international crime. We need to address these important topics for discussion.
How can the National Police not see 500 trucks that pass every day? Don't you think? Regrettably, I have a significant belief in the militarization of crucial mining regions where the environment is being devastated. I think it's essential to arrange everything in order. I'm not sure if this government with a 2% fluctuation can manage to do it, but it's a crucial topic. We also have another guest here, Cesar.
We have good news. Fernán Altuve Febres Lores, who is a well-known political analyst, who will have a conversation with us regarding the MAPE legislation, if it proceeds, and all the objections that have been raised throughout the week.
Yes. Before we jump into commercials, I wanted to provide you with some updates on our social media platforms. Keep an eye out for some exciting content. Hey, our social media presence is located right here. Don't forget, you are welcome to become a member of our YouTube channel to access the program. And on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or X now. We're active on various social media platforms, including TikTok. Stay connected with us by signing up to receive the latest updates and news. Hey, Fernán, tell us a bit before we get into the mining topic itself. Thanks for visiting Rumbo Minero for the first time. I hope you come back often.
Thanks for the invite.
Various economists have been critical of the government's endorsement of the law that was approved by the Congress of the Republic, which suggests a 2% increase in the resources allocated to compensation funds. Well, Municipal Fond Común, in a progressive manner, directly criticizing the government and the Minister of Economy, Raul Pérez Reyes, for not having the will to make necessary adjustments, leaving Congress to manage policies rather than the Ministry of Economy and Finance, MEF. What do you think about this?
Well, let's see. Everyone is saying that ultimately the Peruvian economy is progressing well despite the political issues, etc. But that's not quite true. There's a huge fiscal deficit. It needs to be emphasized that the recent resignation of the former Minister of Economy signifies a very concerning development for the Peruvian economy, arguably the worst in years, because it was evident that this minister was willing to close the fiscal deficit. Yet politics has overridden the macroeconomic principles that require closing the fiscal deficit, and a political minister has been appointed in the MEF, as he is a political figure. Although he may wish to market it as a technician, it is to sustain the fiscal party throughout the final year of this administration. This will have very negative consequences. What is being discussed is just another instance of economic and budgetary demagoguery. It's not only Congress's fault, because the executive is playing along with this. He says he will be the one to impose the veto and that he will observe the law. However, he understands that observation is futile in the face of stubbornness and unwavering determination. Therefore, he performs solely to please either the business crowd or the audience without taking any substantial action. And when there was a minister who was going to tackle the issue, he removed him. Recognize the existence of covert collusion, don't turn a blind eye to it. It's a clear indicator of deceitfulness and misconduct.
Let's focus, Fernán, on the topic of mining, which, as you know, the formal sector has its own regulations, the General Mining Law. Throughout the week, the main topic for debate has centered around artisanal mining and the complex legal issues surrounding small-scale operations, presenting a tangled Gordian knot to unravel. Since Taking into account everything that you and I have gone through concerning the actions of organized crime behind the illegal operations it produces in this sector, I would like your perspective above all on how you see this whole problem, beyond just the legal aspect, whether the norm is good or bad. What's your take?
I think, let's see, a shift has happened in the overall layout of the tech structure regarding mining. We are not only talking about what is termed formal and informal, employing two potentially inaccurate terms, but these can still convey a logical framework. And this shift has not prompted political, economic, and business stakeholders. Let's just say they are artisanal. Taking a forward-looking approach to restructuring the mining sector is not their priority. Instead, they are focused on defending it. Positions towards the past and towards the legal structure of the past. Peru needs a mining code, comprehensive mining legislation. We cannot continue with a patchwork law for some and a non-patchwork law for others. There needs to be a simplification in that mining code regarding the requirements for formal mining. The formal mining sector is unable to fulfill the imposed requirements, which is outrageous. This situation is economically unfeasible, rendering it unprofitable and exposing it to corruption, especially with organized crime lurking. But the corruption that is seen is in the licensing environment for this, a license for that, etc. Thus, this legal disorder, due to changes in the mining structure, which is a reality, has evolved over the last 10 years, requires an all-encompassing mining code that supports both formal and informal miners, regardless of their status.
Currently, the National Mining Society, along with several congressmen, has provided their perspective on the Renapmat program. So Matt, equal to Reinfo. Don't you think what we are noticing a bit is that these recent regulations or legislative attempts, it looks like Congress could enact, and I must stress, this is my own opinion, a law that is as bad as it can get to say, you know what, let's just carry on with the Reinfo. Don't you think we need to prolong it and push it for the next Congress? What are your thoughts on what's going on?
I return to the same general exhibition. There is a general regime that is poor, bad for everyone in general. Therefore, in situations where the general systems are inadequate, specific regulations start to come into play. If the special rules create a sense of social peace, the politician will choose that option regardless of its quality, because what matters to him is maintaining social peace, negative, or however it may be. Thus, we are succumbing to legislative chaos as there is no comprehensive redesign considering the current state of mining, legally speaking, allowing for the creation of systems exceptional.
In other words, when you go to the macro level, what you're saying is that a complete re-engineering is necessary because these are just patches that end up very poorly.
They are, but they are all just patches because the issue of the so-called Reinfo is not just a patch. Now they want to change its name, etc. Furthermore, it is a makeshift solution. This Ministry of the Environment that keeps generating norms and norms and norms and norms and norms that actually end up being quite heavy for a sector. They are patches as well, without any universal guideline. But through directive resolutions and similar things that end up having an impact, seriously in biz, miners...
The topic of exploration, not exploitation, exploration is really critical regarding the environment, isn't it? What do you need to obtain to get an environmental permit for doing some tests? I mean, really, when we compare ourselves to other countries. Surprising how long a legal mining company takes to handle its paperwork.
An argument arises. This carries a certain level of impact, saying, a small percentage of the concessions has been explored and exploited. Yes, it's true. This needs to be understood. And when we inquire, can formal mining explore and exploit in a systematic, straightforward, easy, economical, respectful, yet agile and beneficial for the country? It cannot, because there is a bureaucratic world of the state putting obstacles and issues at every step. Therefore, In the grand scheme of things, it is the overall economic framework that reaps the negative impacts of mining activities. To address mining problems in all political sectors, understanding a key aspect is crucial for effective resolution. Peru is a mining nation. It survives on mining, will keep surviving on mining, and if mining doesn't succeed, Peru won't succeed. The concept needs to be easily understood. Therefore, a comprehensive solution is required to address the mining issue.
Sure, but the all-encompassing solution doesn't follow this view. You know this as a historian and lawyer. A broader perspective of the issue is essential due to the impact of informality across various fields of operation, correct? Now, due to our professional interest, we are dedicating our attention to the mining industry as a key focus area of our work. However, as informality continues to prevail over the legal authority of the state, the lack of power hinders the enforcement of regulations, making it difficult to address the issue at hand. Neither its rules nor anything. Indeed, as you point out, due to the dispersion that exists. That is, how do we fix this issue, a much bigger issue, which is that informality crosses all roads in our country?
All right, I believe there is a flawed understanding in this context. In my opinion, it is to believe that people are happy to be informal. I don't think so. I think everyone desires to be formal. The issue is that if being informal is more lucrative than being formal, then you will be informal. You need to change the focus.
Consequently, he is happy, correct? If he is, being happier is more advantageous. This is evident.
You need to shift the perspective so that being formal is seen as a benefit rather than a penalty. The conception of formalization is the FO, the conception of punishment. In other words, the day you become formal, you might gain an advantage, but the next day, 35 public entities come after you, 48 municipalities, 37, and they overwhelm you in such a way that you say, why should I formalize? I might as well go back to the system in which I was happy and wild. Why? The reason is that we have understood legality and formality as a means of punishment, and this must be altered. When referring to the mining code, I am specifically addressing a mining code that acknowledges and rewards adherence to formal procedures. And it shouldn't penalize being formal. That's why I say we need to reward the formal. The formal should be rewarded continuously. And the formal one, doesn't want exemptions or benefits. He wants to be allowed to work. This is done with administrative simplification. It's impossible to maintain the level of requirements being demanded. That's ridiculous. It only creates barriers and does not protect the environment. That statement is untrue. None of the communities are being protected. It is protecting some lazy people. Consultants seeking to secure a share of the business by providing a report or technical analysis in order to obtain a portion of the market. Of the unregulated, that doesn't abide by formalities or meet the required level of formality.
Now, what do you think about the idea of militarizing? Because we see 500 trucks passing daily and the police don't notice. It's very strange. But what do you think about the idea of militarizing strategic areas? Where is illegal mining running rampant without any constraints?
The police's ineffectiveness is, first of all, two problems. One is logistical and one is probably human. In a logistical sense, the police do not have the capacity to do it, and there is a corrupting power of money. Do we want the armed forces involved in the corrupting process? In every location where the armed forces have stepped in to manage drug trafficking, they have ultimately become infiltrated by it. So there's a risk. It sounds great. But we have armed forces. What quality are they? Are they European armed forces? Are they North American armed forces? Are they perhaps a branch of the military with a neglected hospital that the government has failed to support for many years? Nobody looks after military hospitals, the orphans of soldiers, or the families of military members. As a result, these mistreated and impoverished soldiers, if we place them in a vulnerable situation, will we be jeopardizing them in the presence of the overwhelmingly massive corruption exhibited by these individuals?
Briefly, what would the solution be?
No, I said
The
it.
solution lies in maintaining law and order.
Legislation needs revision to uphold law and order. New laws must be established to meet the changing needs of society. This system of law enforcement will no longer be respected. The structure has broken down. A new mining code model must be agreed upon to establish a legal framework for decision making. It is crucial for people to determine the legality of mining activities. If that's not the case, repression won't help.
I completely agree. Thank you so much for being here, Fernán Altuve. The topics we've covered are crystal clear and quite interesting, and we sincerely hope you can join us again in the future.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Now let's take a short break for a quick commercial, and then we'll be back. As previously mentioned, we have Mr. José Antonio La Rosa, the co-founder of Supera Consulting Firm, joining us now for an interview. How are you? How's everything going on your end?
Happy to meet you, Jorge. It's an honor to be on your show.
Thanks. Well, we wanted to chat about Argentina. A few years ago, we learned about the lithium triangle being dubbed the white gold due to the high demand for lithium. This is because lithium is a crucial mineral needed in abundance. Well, however, ultimately, things didn't turn out as expected because of political matters, and it got complicated. A nation that has experienced prosperous periods in mining, currently discussions about copper are emerging. In the field of mining in Argentina, please share with us what's currently going on in Argentina and whether President Milei will truly be able to transform a nation that had certain complications for developing mining in a mining country.
That's an excellent and pertinent question, Jorge, because the brother country of Argentina, who we are connected to, has historical ties of friendship, necessitates the extraction of resources through mining to advance development and alleviate poverty. Argentina's economic issues over the past decades have led to a decline, but Milei has controlled inflation. Now, it needs to revive the economy and create jobs. To achieve this, it has declared a national policy to mining as a resource. In the pursuit of progress and the eradication of poverty, they are establishing various tax incentives and have recognized the valuable resource in the Andes. They liken themselves to Chile, which shares the same mountain range, you know? Chile exports $60 billion in minerals to the world, while Argentina only exports 3,000. 3,000 against 60,000 from Chile. Peru, 45,000. Henceforth, Chile currently experiences in which they are encountering. There is a tremendous opportunity ahead to innovate, investment, employment, and overall advancement.
Clearly, Argentina is undergoing a genuine revolution after numerous years, marking a significant moment in its history. A nation that derives its name from a mineral reference, like Argenta, right? Like Argentina. There are also interesting projects such as Taca Taca, that of First Quantum, a Canadian entity, and Rio Tinto, also operating in Peru, are actively involved in their respective projects. The farm, huh? We're talking about Pro, another project we have in mind. Hey, what's the price? According to your findings, the investment portfolio that Argentina has at this time.
The investment portfolio of Argentina is about $20 billion. They require that investment as quickly as possible. They have already managed to attract the 3 largest mining companies in the world, publicly traded private miners. In Peru, the portfolio worth $65 billion is currently awaiting valuation, while also gearing up for investments to be made in the near future. Therefore, Argentina is progressing rapidly. Of course, such endeavors require a considerable amount of time. However, this serves as an invitation for Peru to step up and accelerate while also backing our Argentine brother. With our expertise, we aim to efficiently utilize resources to the fullest extent while continually improving our capabilities.
Now, something that worries us, which we have been saying for a long time, is that the Peruvian government has recognized for the first time the existence of extensive informal mining operations for copper. We have been observing this as a common trend in the mining industry. However, it's significant that the minister has now publicly acknowledged the involvement of copper in illegal mining activities for the first time. The subject is one that raises concerns, and we were curious to find out to what extent can this impact us. Regarding mining investments in the economic future of our country, considering the importance of mining?
It's quite a delicate issue. I believe that the great moral reserve of Peru will be tested. Don't we need to unite as a nation and demand that our leaders assist in the development of formal mining, which brings investment, generates jobs, and produces taxes, and generates employment for numerous individuals, sparking a full cycle of economic impact, of ecosystems that generate many jobs, including both direct and indirect employment. It's great that the minister has already acknowledged the scope of the problem in illegal mining. There are several invaded cuts by illegal mining on a significant scale. Thus, only with substantial backing from the government, the armed forces, law enforcement, and Peruvian society alike can real changes be achieved. Finding a solution to this problem is a challenging task that requires effort. The practical solution. The last resort is for gunfire to be used, resulting in many casualties. We must find a political, pragmatic, and highly creative solution for Peru's sake.
Well, Lou, what we can also see in the mirror of Peru. We are talking about social conflict, and we would love it, José Antonio, if you could explain how this has been studied in Argentina. Just look at the Tia Maria case with so many projects, including Conga. Facing clear conflict with communities that were created solely for political purposes and are now challenging investments, a situation has arisen where progress is being held back, which ensures sustainability, job creation, a perspective absolutely different from what modern mining does. What is happening in Argentina regarding this?
And, Argentina benefits from having a mining industry that is still in its infancy with enormous potential, giving it the opportunity to learn from its more experienced neighbors in mining, Peru and Chile, and take on the best practices. The Tia Maria case is a remarkable and captivating example that we are familiar with, where Southern has been working hard for years in order to gain the trust of the community in a fair manner. The Coca Chacra Valley is home to 25,000 inhabitants. And they have come to understand that relying only on agriculture won't give them sufficient quality of life or a bright future. This is why all the youth of Coca Chacra are emigrating and the population is aging because they see no future. So responsible mining that cares for the environment, pays taxes, brings cutting-edge machinery and creates a lot of jobs, provides a second option for employment and advancement in agriculture. In the Tambo Valley, experiencing only a year or two of poor harvests, puts the valley in a state of extreme crisis. Mining is crucial for advancement. Just as the body relies on two hands, progress depends on it. We must have two sources of income. In case one fails, the other one is there to rely on. And that is the opportunity brought by the huge investment billionaire of Tia Maria to the Tambo Valley, and promises an exciting development center for Peru.
Now, we're going back to Argentina. Well, the rising investment that might take place in Argentina presents either a chance or a risk concerning Peruvian mining.
It's a two-edged sword, because it benefits us as a nation to have a neighbor, or a nearby quasi-neighbor, rich. We thrive on a prosperous Argentina, not a struggling one. A strong economy allows for increased opportunities in trade, business, services, and products. A richer Argentina opens the door to more growth and development. Thus, we have the opportunity for the entire ecosystem of Peruvian mining to go and serve. And export services, exporting talent is also valuable to bring back Peruvian expats returning to Peru after 5 years of serving there with greater know-how, and a greater international experience. However, it is also a wake-up call that for every $5 billion that are allocated, Peru will not receive $5 billion for a copper project in Chile. The investment will not be coming to Peru. As a nation, we must come together to reform, invite that capital, and understand that Argentina is a significant player in investment, serving not only as a client, but also as a competitor, highlighting its dual role in the financial market. All investors are called upon to participate in the reform, addressing the Peruvian nation and its leaders, to return to Peru, making it more appealing for mining in order to bring value to our 20 pickaxes that are resting in the Peruvian Andes.
One important word for your proposal is complementarity, which provides a perspective that in this exchange of technology and services, through investment contributions and financial leverage, we have the opportunity to complement each other. It's important not to view everything as a competition, similar to the perspective in Chile.
Correct. In English, it is known as competition. It is cooperation and competition as well. But it is beneficial for us to have a richer neighboring nation. It is not advantageous for us to have it poor. Creating a fresh market compels us to adapt and innovate, to run faster and faster as a nation and as a mining industry.
Thank you, José Antonio, for being a part of Rumbo Minero. It was great having you on the show, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.
An honor.
We were in the company of José Antonio La Rosa, who co-founded Supera. Now, we will continue to the section on mining and society with Iván Arenas. Please go ahead.
The Energy and Mines Commission of the Congress of the Republic has just presented what would be the draft of the MAPE law, the law of artisanal and small-scale mining. If approved, this law would be absolutely disastrous for the formalization of this large sector. This is a law that has 62 articles, in which absolutely dissimilar concepts are introduced compared to what the norm states. Examples include the concept of artisanal mining. As per the law, the informal miner is one who is not part of any formalization process. That is to say, he is not included in what is called the Reinfo. Additionally, the law establishes that an illegal miner is one who would be outside of any authorization process by state institutions to conduct mining activities. But there is another concept that is also very harmful. The concept of ancestral or traditional mining techniques, which actually seeks to validate concessions or validate the granting of concessions belonging to third parties through what is called ancestral mining. In addition to this, the legislation encompasses what is referred to as the General Mining Law, a legislative measure that was established during the years 1992 and 1993, which has enabled the rise of investments and mining output in Peru has been experiencing growth. It undermines the system of concessions in some fashion or another. This is a law that, without question, or a proposed law, that if it were to be passed not only in the Commission but also in the full Congress, would be detrimental to formalization, as we have indicated before. And that's why we are calling here the parties that are within the Congress of the Republic not to approve a law that would be harmful. This would have disastrous consequences, not just for the traditional miners, but also for the entire mining industry in Peru. This law has been introduced by Paul Gutierrez, who is a congressman and a member of the Teachers' Bloc, as well as an ally of Pedro Castillo, who, guided by a few leftist attorneys' advice, they have put forth a proposed legislation, which would be, as I was saying, disastrous for formalization in Peru. Next week, then.
Well, as we reach the end of the program, Cesar, it has been very interesting. The chat with Fernán Altuve. I believe we should indeed cease all patching efforts. We didn't have that reading with the guests and the debate we've always conducted, but it's time to stop patching things in Peru. That's true. We need to do something properly. And let's focus on the main subject. No, keep going. Let's create a reform law, the MAPA, this. No, we should make a law to help miners and mining companies so that the bureaucracy that sometimes leads to corruption can be reduced, right? That bureaucracy, well, let's not talk about levels that we can't even compete with in the world. Isn't that so? For more investments to happen, legal mining needs a full law to be created so that this matter can be concluded, right?
He said that about the code, like he said about mining. And José Antonio La Rosa, who co-founded the consulting firm, Supera's indication highlights the crucial importance of this development for us. Argentina's mining industry has increased competition due to President Javier Milei's implemented policies, making the sector more competitive. It also contributes to numerous opportunities for collaboration among us, mining producers who are neighbors, in various activities we can pursue together.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us here with Rumbo Minero. Our goal is to ensure all Peruvians stay informed about important news and updates. Your support is much appreciated. There is much more to know about the vital role mining plays for all Peruvians. It was wonderful spending time with you. Looking forward to catching up again next weekend on the same channel.